job done, and we are optimistic that the job will be completed. I'm happy that the job has been completed within the lifetime of this administration. Like you have rightly mentioned, it has linked up, it has opened up the community and linked up the two communities and opened up the area for development. Talking about lives that have been wasted, those who we are trying to cross the river to the other side of it, I think is worthwhile for that project to be completed. And I'm happy that His Excellency the Governor had lived up to his promise to the people of Mbo and Enwang that the job will be done and completed. Today it is completed, and I know, like someone said, that having completed this project, there is hope for the deep sea port, there is hope for the Liberty Free Zone, and there is hope for the industrial layout that the government had proposed. But like I said before, it is difficult for someone to want to prove a government that is sitting. When a government exits office, one can now be able to raise questions. So for me, it's a big applause for the governor for this particular project. It's also a big cheers for the people of Afi-Uko Nteghe, Mbo, and Etebi-Enwang, and the entire Oro nation. And I'm happy that they came out yesterday. I was not there, but I watched the video. They trooped out yesterday to celebrate the governor and the government and the guests that came, former President Goodluck Jonathan, to commission the project. This is what we want to see in democracy and in Akwa Ibom. We want to see democratic dividends. When development is taken to a community, the people should receive it, applaud it, and make it become people's project, no longer the government project. I think I will lead a team to go to that community to actually see the extent of completion, because I have also read where people say, hey, it's not completed, it's a Facebook thing, it's a social media artist. I would like to also go and see, like we did when the flyover project was completed. We went there, we look at it, and then we also came out with our report. So we will go there to also take a first-hand information and then come out. I will be here to tell you what I saw and what we did not see in the project. But on the whole, I commend the governor, I commend his team, the commissioner for works, and all those who have put everything together to make sure that the project is completed within the life of this administration.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to ask just one last question before I make room for the House Leader. What would you say are the anticipated or expected impact of the road on the livelihood of the people of the area?
Yeah, first off, it will increase the economic activity. It will ease access to both communities. Mbo is more or less like a fishing community where the people are more of fishermen and women, and so having access to the town, to urban cities, will also make their activities easier, and they will become accessible to town with their goods. And then those who normally ply the sea will no longer use the sea again, except maybe they will go for fishing. Live economic activity has become boosted by this particular project being committed. And let me add that this particular project is economic boosted project. It's going to boost economic activity, not just in our nation, but it has opened up the entire state to economic activity. So for me, that is what we should be commending, and we should be saying that government should use our resources to do projects that are going to open up other vista of economy and activities that will increase our resources. So this project, like I said earlier, has touched on every facet of lives of people of our nation and Akwa Ibom State in general.
House Leader, how would you react to the fact that there's a new road in your area?
Well, my area, but not technically as yours. I'm sure you're more happier than me as far as development is concerned. But it's actually worth celebrating. I agree with Parliamentarian Franklyn. It has opened up the state. It's not just something that Mbo people or Oro people should celebrate alone. I think the rest of the state, and indeed the country as well, should celebrate this development. This is what people are actually yearning for or calling for as far as experiencing dividends of democracy is concerned. But this is just the second phase for me. About this developments. The first of which was initiating the project in the first place. Completing it is the second. And maximizing the benefit of having a project like this is the third. And this is where I think the government needs to pay even more attention. So it doesn't look like this road was constructed just so we have vehicles, being able to ply on it and all of that. No, it's supposed to be an access point to link in Akwa Ibom State to the rest of the country business-wise, so it could improve the lots of people in that area and the state at large. So we can't just go sit down simply because the road has been commissioned, inaugurated, with all the fanfare that followed it, so it doesn't look like the government is using it to score a political point in the lead up to the elections. No, we want to see some level of success, with the completion of that road, translating towards improving the business setup of the state. It's not something the Oba administration will likely do because he only has a few months to go before he leaves office. The succeeding administration needs to maximize the opportunity that's been made available to them courtesy of that bridge. It's a very beautiful bridge. I've had to go see it myself, and I have to actually commend the state government for taking that initiative. But like I said, it's not just about constructing a bridge of that magnitude. If it doesn't translate to economic progress, then for me, it's as good as not doing anything.
Well, it's a beautiful thing that you could have the access to go verify and see for yourself. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing for myself because of the unsolved intertribal, or should I call it, boundary dispute between Uko Nteghe and Enwang. And of course, if I were to cross into that environment, you can likely expect what is going to happen. And in as much as we congratulate the state government and the government of Akwa Ibom State for executing and, of course, commissioning the road, let us not forget that there is a very serious issue between Uko Nteghe and Enwang that is still unsolved, and lives have been lost over the years. If I want to go through that history line, we probably might not finish on the floor of the house before I finish that storyline. But in as much as that road has been constructed, the state government also needs to pay attention to the issue of, boundary crisis that has claimed lots of lives over the years between Uko Nteghe and Enwang, still in a local government area. I would have loved to go take a peek at the bridge myself, probably take some pictures, and finally say, okay, next time I want to go to a field, I wouldn't have to, swim across or maybe get into the boat to, find my way across. But it's a beautiful and welcome development, and we commend the state government while still asking that things be done to other issues within the area that needs attention. But let me come back to the floor of the House. This morning we've had 4 motions. Let's quickly look at Akwa Ibom politics now. It seems like this year might just be the one year that we have so many disputes and challenges across the different political parties. Right now, Pastor Omoino of the PDP is involved in one court case or the other. Right now, the YPP gubernatorial candidate, distinguished Senator Basi Albert, is still in a court case. And of course, Akanu Dofia of the APC is also having his own fair share of legal actions or court cases currently ongoing. And of course, that leaves us with the ACC and the ADC and the NNPP, whom we have not seen any court cases. Now, let me come to you, Parliamentarian Otuekong Franklyn. Looking at the narrative, the present realities that we have on ground, with all these court cases currently ongoing, how would you define the political terrain in Akwa Ibom State? I mean, particularly knowing that it's just a few days before we begin to vote for our preferred candidates.
I think judiciary, or will I say litigation, is part of our electoral processes. And instead of taking the laws into your hands, instead of resorting to self-help by going to protests and blockading road and destroying properties, you just go to court and ask for redress. So what we are seeing today is within the democratic space, and for me, it's commendable. I want to say that the abuse of judicial process is also what should be checked or checkmated, so that the court will not be used as a bubble trap, or a court will not be used as a tool to truncate smooth democratic process. Anyone who do not have a genuine matter, for instance, going to court and then wanting to use the court, or you go through the back door, because you still have back door judgment where, you know, persons will just stay overnight and then wake up in the morning, next morning you are removed. It happened when we used to have Justice Ebo of the Federal High Court in, I think, Enugu, who stays in Enugu and removed then Governor Ngige in Anambra State overnight. And then the next morning, Ngige was missing. We had to start searching for the governor of the state because he was removed, sacked by a court. So, in as much as judiciary, in as much as litigation, in as much as seeking for your right in the court of law is still within the realm, within the ambit of democratic space, we should check the excesses, we should check the abuse of it, so that we don't use the court to truncate smooth democratic process that we are yearning for. Those who may not have genuine cases, who may not have genuine complaint to lodge before the court, should not have any business in the courtroom. If your aim is just to go and witch hunt, just to go and use the court to undo, or and twist the process of this election that is few months from today, please do not do it for the interest of this country. The country is bleeding. Nigeria is bleeding. Nigeria needs to be healed. We want someone who will become the governor of the state that will be able to manage our economy, our resources prudently. Someone who can be able to manage our economy at the federal level as a president is what we need. Today you will hear someone who just get up overnight and say this person did this some years ago. He's not qualified, he goes to court. We go to and say this one did this, he goes to court. And then the court is now being used, like I have said, as an avenue to to want to undo or twist your opponent. Please let us ensure that at the end of the day, let the Chief Justice of Nigeria call all the judges and try to talk to them, because whatever pronouncement you make as a judge or as a magistrate, it could affect the outcome of this process that we are yearning for to be very smooth and transparent.
Indeed, it could affect the different processes that we have and yearn to. I think the House leader would want to speak on that as well.
Well, personally, I'm quite disappointed, with the state of things, with political parties in the Akwa Ibom state scheming up to, take over the Hilltop Mansion come May 23rd. Starting with the ruling party in the state, I think we all sort of expected the drama that has unfolded in the aftermath of the party's gubernatorial primaries, which led to the emergence of Pastor Moino as the candidate of the PDP going into the elections because of underlying concerns about him being a stooge of the incumbent governor, Dom Emmanuel. While, of course, the government will continue saying, well, this is not the case, that it's just the man who was equally throwing his heart into the ring and was able to win over the minds and hearts of the stakeholders of the party. Others would definitely disagree. How much of these court cases would hamper the chances of the political parties going into the elections? Well, the jury is still out on that, because we're all expecting some form of rulings at appeal court levels dramatically. So most of these parties, the PDP, the APC, and the YPP, who are not having an internal crisis to deal with, but something around their candidacy being charged based on fraud allegations. Will it hamper the outcome of the polls? Yes, likely, especially depending on which way each of these rulings go. The PDP is having a squabble between Pastor Moino and Mr. Kanokun over forgery allegations. We do not know which way the ruling will go, but I've been asking myself a question. In the event that Mr. Kanokun gets his way, I mean, how much time does he have to begin to prepare to align his thoughts and manifestos with those of the party who have been campaigning for a series of months on the programs and policies that Mr. Moino hopes to achieve when he gets into office? So it means the PDP could be fielding a fresh candidate with basically a couple of months or less to go before the gubernatorial election. So I wonder how many Akwa Ibomites would want to listen again to another candidate altogether. It's definitely going to affect voters' choice in the outcome of the polls. The APC, on the other hand, have been shooting themselves in the foot since basically day one here in the state. While they've had, success at the national level, having been at the helm since 2015 up until date, in the Akwa Ibom states, the case has been different. And I think the obsession with trying to, get rid of the PDP from the Hilltop Mansion, for me, has led them to make series of mistakes that's been hard to correct, especially with welcoming new members into the party from other parties across the state in the bid to build up the numbers and strengthen confidence. For me, that move has actually backfired. I mean, I'm not going to shy away from the fact that the introduction into the party of former Governor Godswill Akpabio at the height of the 2019 polls actually led to, furtherance of the crisis that the APC were already experiencing long before he came, which eventually led to the likes of Senator Odoidege quitting the party, to go front his own ambition on another party where he actually won a ticket unopposed. So if the APC do not put their houses in order, then they might not be on the ballot. We are talking about hosting a gubernatorial debate here in the state. And while every other party at the moment, in spite of the crisis they're facing, seems to know who and who would go speak for them at that debate, we cannot say same for the APC yet, because there's a court ruling on ground that has ordered them to go for a rerun where the initial winner, Oba Akanbi, is not allowed to stand, while the High Court, or rather the Court of Appeal, had stayed judgment on this case. It's still very difficult to tell which way the APC is heading with all of this. So they're basically facing more or less the same problems. We all understand the travails distinguished Senator Oba Albert is facing with the YPP, although some persons have tried to infuse some politicking into this by claiming the PDP in Akwa Ibom State has a hand with the prosecution that he's currently facing. It's not our duty to say whether or not that is true, but I do hope that this can be settled amicably. Some have said, look, in the event that Oba doesn't stand for the election, the YPP has a chance to replace him now. I think that could be something to think about in the event that is not allowed to stand on the post, but that's not for us to say. If the parties do not put their houses in order, I like to think that the other parties out there could actually leverage on this. For instance, the Labour Party, recently we've started seeing billboards across the state with someone coming out to indicate interest to contest as well. So I think they can have an opportunity to, still on the lapses that most of the major parties have. But trust me, this would be a very interesting gubernatorial elections in Akwa Ibom State.
Well, indeed, it's going to be an interesting twists and turns as we anticipate the different happenings that will come out from the lower court. And of course, Akwa Ibom people continue to wait while anticipating. Right about now, we'll take a quick pause and head out to our first research. When we come back, the People's Parliament will continue. Please stay with us.
FM Uyo. Our listeners are our most valuable assets.
and 2 members of his family got infected. Lucky was sick and couldn't do his business for months. Now, even food to chop no do. His nephew got very sick. The thing no end well at all.
We did all we could, but it didn't make it.
But Smart case did different. Everybody in his family was vaccinated. Only one person got infected and his symptoms were minor. Who would you rather be, Smart or Lucky?
Protect yourself, family, friends, and community from COVID-19. Get vaccinated sharply.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Attention please. This is a boarding call for all intending passengers on Ibom Air Flight 101.1 departing for Planet FM. Flight time is Thursday, 4 p.m. Please proceed to check-in.
To come on board this flight, tune in to Planet 101.1 FM every Thursday at 4 p.m. to be a part of the program Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air. This half-hour program is highly interactive and informative, with phone-in sessions and live stream on our social media pages. Fun trivia games with loads of exciting prizes to be won. Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air is a public enlightenment program designed to curb misinformation about Ibom Air's modus operandi and receive customers' feedback. This program is in partnership with TAF Media Group. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Cabin crew, you may now commence your in-flight duties.
We're sure that we can.
Parliament, and of course, is the 12th plenary session live on radio. Quickly welcome the House Leader to take us through some of the comments that we have on the Facebook page. But before then, let's welcome the parliamentarians on the phone lines. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Welcome.
Good morning, the leader of the House. Good morning, all the parliamentarians.
Good morning to you.
My name is Talented. I come from here.
Welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, for me, I want to say something about what happened yesterday, the commissioning of the Etebi-Enwang Road, a bridge.
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Speaker, for me, Mr. Speaker, for me, I want to say that it is important for any state government to use the form of the government of the state and do projects. And also, I want to commend the state government because that project was started by government, a partial government, and completed during this time. So I want to say it's a job well done. And also, in that aspect, there are some words that government used to say that they have done this, they have done that. I want to say that it is not the right of the people. It is not so good for the people to beg the government to do projects. Government should take projects as one of the important things. Because when you campaign, when you promise that you are coming to do projects, you are coming to do something for the state, you are not doing the state a favor. You are coming to fulfill what you are promising the state, the people in the state. That is for me. But back to the INEC. INEC have come out. A lot of things are happening in the INEC office. I want to plead with the INEC. They should not postpone the election. They should allow the election to go on. And put more security to secure their INEC offices. But 2023 election is not going to be as usual. Therefore, I urge the citizens to go out and take their PVC. You have not collected it. Go and take your PVC. Because this time around, now that they are campaigning, ask them, when you were a commissioner, what do you do? When you are a minister, what do you do? When you were a senator, what do you do? How did they live with the citizens? How was their behavior? How was their character, their life? So, when they vote for them, please, vote for capacity, vote for integrity, vote for a man that will pay battery.
All right, thank you very much. Very, very well stated there. We get to vote for a man of integrity, capacity, and all of that put together. House Leader, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Interesting thoughts there made by the last caller. Let's get some reactions from our Facebook page. Don't forget you can reach out to us on Planet Radio 101.1 FM on Facebook. And Parliamentarian Udeme Egaibu says, Mr. Speaker and the House Leader, looking at the present reality and parties in the state, let me focus on the APC, who were supposed to be the main opposition party and had a better chance of taking over government in the state. But selfishness of the leaders puts them in the present predicaments they're facing now. What really happened in APC was after the 2019 elections, most leaders got appointments and moved to Abuja and neglected their role as opposition party in the state. It was only distinguished Senator Itainang who was on ground playing a lone opposition. But when the time for the next election beckoned, the leaders came back and everybody wanted to be king. Interesting. All right, thank you. Nsebongo Dogman says, all protocols duly observed and must commend the Akwa Ibom State government for funding the Afi-Uko Nteghe Etebi-Enwang Road that led to the commissioning of the project yesterday. Some of us know when the project was initiated by the last administration. I think Governor Emmanuel has kept to his promise on this particular project. I must also commend the contractor and development company. They have done a great job. Also, Francis Namani says, watching live from Amagunze in Enugu State. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Peter Obi has the requisite qualities and potentials to pilot the affairs of the country. He voted as Nigeria's president during the forthcoming polls. Let's choose wisely to make Nigeria better. May God help us. Thank you very much.
All right, many thanks. Let me come to you, Parliamentarian Franklyn.
Yeah, the message you read before this other one talked about maintaining political party structure after election. You see, I've taken time to analyze the political calculation of Akwa Ibom people. What we do here is we only come out during election period to say we are opposition party, for instance. After election, just watch, Mr. Speaker, just take it, mark it in your wall or anywhere in your diary and keep. After election of 2023, by March, after March, 6 months after, those who had formed the major, the minor, the other parties opposing the party in government will disappear. You will not see a single party you call opposition again in the state. They will just be jostling for appointment either at the state level, either at the federal level, and they will abandon all their supporters and structures. And then they will come back a year or 6 months to election and begin to form another structure and form another party and come back again to make a lot of activities and, adding, tension in the system. Ordinarily, what's supposed to be in a democratic system is you have a stable and viable opposition parties in the state so that they will serve as a check to what the government in power is doing. They will be offering alternative government. They have a shadow government, shadow ministries. They organize town hall meetings. They organize symposiums, seminars. Tell the people of the state. If, for example, you can pick the issue of education, for instance, and you do a seminar, you do a workshop, you do a town hall meeting, then you come out with a position paper, then you give to the government. You put it in the public for the government to see. That is what you would have done if you were to be in government. Pick the issue of economy, pick the issue of works, the issue of health, and you discuss it in your stakeholders meeting as a party, and then come up with a public position that will help either the government in power, or you put it there for us to see. But what you see is after elections, the major parties who oppose the party in government will disappear, and the major players will disappear, and before election again, they will come up again. Some will even defect from the party in government to form what they call major party to oppose the party in government, because they have different political interests. So all I am seeing is game of interest. If you don't have any interest, nothing. All those who are in other parties, if you check it, their background check, they must have come from the party in government, or the party, the one you call APC, or the one that is in the PDP. So what you have today, you call 12 or 6 major parties that are in opposition today. If you check their record, those who are there, they must have come out from the fall out of either the PDP primaries or the fall out of either the APC primaries to form the other parties. So what I want to advise politicians in Akwa Ibom State going forward is that democracy needs viable political parties who are in opposition. So even when you lost the contest, don't lost and disappear to the thin air and come again for election. Remain relevant. Make your supporters remain. Meet with them. Have a statement, issue statement on security matters. You talk on health. You comment on this. You put the government in power to check. By so doing, you will be helping to have a better democracy and good governance in the state.
All right, by so doing, you'll be helping us to have better governance in the state. And you can just join the conversation on our Facebook page. And of course, the phone lines are still open. Let's get to welcome more contributions. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, the guest in the studio. I am just calling from Kitchener.
Go ahead.
Mrs. Speaker, I want to commend the state government first for completing the project that was commissioned yesterday. And one of the speech I love, he met yesterday, he said there is no local government in Akwa Ibom State that we have not touched. I think that might be true. But one thing I observe between the state government and the federal government is, Mr. Speaker, I have not ever witnessed when our state government inviting the federal government to come and witness any project in Akwa Ibom State. And this shows that there is no interpersonal relationship between the state government, despite that there are in different parties. But I tell you, it shouldn't be so. This is not how it should be. I think the state government should have a close relationship with the federal government, not just in monetary terms when they are receiving something from the federal government, but they should have other things that bring them close. That is my observation. Thank you for having me. I'm just a listener.
All right, thank you very much. Back to you, Parliamentarian.
Yeah, for the sake of information, the last speaker talked about the state government never invited the federal government to come and commission project. I know the road in Awa that leads to Isong, the road of, I think, Isong, Awa, that leads to Mparenin, Ukam, was commissioned by the vice president, and he has commissioned some other project in the state. I'm not holding breath for the state government. I know that if the state government has invited the federal government through the vice president, who has come to the state more than twice to commission some projects in the state. So we should also get these facts right.
All right. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning, Otuekong, Franklyn, Isong. Good morning, the leader of the parliament.
Good morning to you, welcome.
Yes, I am the Franklyn. I'm calling from Uyo. It is Uhuru. It is an applause for Akwa Ibom people that the governor has commissioned the Ombo Road, the Afi-Uko Road. Commendable. It's something that we all need to celebrate. I was not happy when I used to hear people from oral instructions coming out to say that this present administration has not done anything for them. And also to add to this, I had the leader of the parliament saying that it's not just the completion of that road, that the government should do everything possible to see that the viable economic activities on that road. I think the government has done their part. It's left for the citizens to make use of this opportunity. You know, like I always say, government will not force people to go do business and make money for themselves. When people see a window opened by government, citizens should try to key in and see what they can take out of that. So I want to take out time to thank Akwa State Governor, His Excellency Emmanuel, for the completion of that project. I used to wonder what is really wrong that government has not touched Oro Nation. But the governor has come to prove the narrative wrong, that indeed this present administration loves the Oro people. Please, my Oro brothers, I plead with you people, government, Governor Emmanuel has never been the problem of Oro Nation. There was a government that did not even touch anything in Oro Nation. There was a government that Oro Nation, it was not their priority. But we have seen this project, just like the former president said, it's not a project that is common for the state government to embark on. It's so uncommon in Nigeria. So I thank the governor so very much, Your Excellency, and I'm so happy. I and my family, we are so happy with you. Continue to do the good work. God bless completion agenda. God bless Your Excellency, Governor Emmanuel. Thank you for having me. I am the Kenya.
All right, many thanks for joining us, Parliamentarian Kenya. For the fact that I'm speaking here as a journalist, there are certain things I cannot say because of the ethics of my profession. But if I wasn't a journalist, I would have. There are things I would have responded to your comments. But let's keep that. House Leader.
I find his comment very interesting, and I agree that we need to commend the state governor for initiating completing rather a project that was initiated by the previous administration. But on the debates about whether or not this administration has impacted on the people of Oro Nation as much as we would have wanted or compared to previous administration, I like to be very clear. I think if we have to juxtapose between government programs and policies, comparing the previous administrations and the present one, to the best of my knowledge, I think the Emmanuel administration has really done creditably well in that regard as far as Oro people experiencing, government presence is concerned. But I don't like to join issues with a school of thought that no matter how little has been done, we should just appreciate it. We cannot shy away from the fact that Oro is the goose that lays the golden egg. As far as the resources of this state is concerned, a bulk of it emanates from Oro Nation. So we can't just say because you've done a few good roads around compared to what the other administrations have done, then we should say, okay, let's give you a thorough pat on the back and say you've done creditably well. I mean, what happens to more? As far as I'm concerned, the state of roads in Oro Nation is still quite dilapidated. In terms of infrastructure, we're way behind the rest of the state, let alone the rest of the country. How many other government presence have we felt in the state by way of industries being created, in terms of job provision for people in that area? They're still lacking. I mean, up until date, we're still talking about how to improve the welfare of the people through creating businesses that will allow people's business as well to thrive. We could all talk about the relative success that the Ibom Deep Sea Port, may have had up until the point that it is today. But it's still not enough. That's the argument here. It's not enough. Yes, we can commend the government for the efforts that they have done. We're talking about Mbo. Let me focus on Udunuko local government precisely, which happens to be my own local government. We recently saw the governor commission a road, which is the first time we're having a road of that nature, being constructed and inaugurated in Udunuko local government area. I seem to remember the Victor Ota administration, Governor Godswill Akpabio, they all came to Udunuko and campaigned on that same road, each of them promising to construct it. None of them ever did. It took Governor Emmanuel to actually do so, and we commended him creditably for that. But that is the only road that Udunuko still has up until date. So what happens to the other road? And we've seen 8 years of the Ota administration, another 8 of Godswill Akpabio. Governor Emmanuel is about completing 8 more years, and we can only boast of one road. So on that premise, we cannot say that, yes, we should give the government a thorough pat on the back because it's given us one road. What happens to giving us more roads, as we're seeing in other local government areas across the state? So I could give the government a pat on the back. But when it comes to areas that we need to put our hands on the decks and say, nothing has been done in this regard, we should not shy away from conversations like this. So the people are not wrong to ask for more, in my view.
All right, very thanks for that very well detailed analysis. But let me come back to you, Parliamentarian Otuekong Franklyn.
I want to join the leader of the parliament to say, like he's saying, that other people need more. I have been a minority rights activist over the years, and each time I speak, I said the only access road to our nation is just narrow. It's too narrow. And we talk about the Inseretai Okobo Road that has been there. The other time I drove to Oro, the job has moved from where it was. So I would like to see this government complete the Okobo Inseretai Road. And then, having said that, I would be unfair to my community as well. I'm also from here. I'm from Kwarenin. You are talking about Oro not even, having much. In Kwarenin, where I'm from, the Commissioner for Works and Fire Service is from my local government area. The last time I talked about it, I said from where you have 42 to Akwa Ibom, where you have the state-owned university. The last time I went there, I think sometime in March or so, with a team, I counted about 342 potholes and depressions on the highway. And I'm happy that they've been patched. But the major challenge we have now is that the Akwa Ibom junction, the runabout, there's no runabout there. And we've had several accidents that have killed several students from the AXU, from other communities and other road users, because there ought to be a roundabout at that junction, so that when a car coming from Edet will have to slow down, and the one coming from Kwarenin will now know that they are meeting up at a roundabout. The one from Nikolabasi will come and slow. The one from Israel will come and slow. Then they will all slow down and find their way. But that place is so open that any car coming from Edet will feel that it's a highway. It moves straight, and the car coming from Iran Kwarenin, or the one coming either from the school, the axis from this axis, or the one coming from this axis could go and they have head-on collision, and lives are wasted. And so I'm saying, that the governor has directed that all projects of the government be completed, but the ones that are causing lives, like this one now, should also be looked into. The runabout at Akwa Ibom Junction should be looked into. The Commissioner for Works and Fire Service knows about it because he was a vice chancellor in AXU. He knows how many students that have lost their lives, and that runabout, I don't know how it was designed, but in my own assessment or judgment, it was a poor job that was done. That runabout should be, there should be a runabout there, and that will slow down cars coming from either of the roads. Now, having said this, we are Oliver Twist. We need more roads. We need to get our road fixed. Oro need more roads. Ika, Etimekbo, all the states, we need more roads. But all this will be done within the confines of the available resources.
All right, more contributions from parliamentarians. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Kuka. My name is John Paul. I'm calling from you.
All right, welcome. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to react to one caller that said Governor Emmanuel is not Aaron's problem. Please, Governor sat down on a live TV and said, "Young Tangi review that Aaron don't bring him more. Can't wait petition to Bakadis report. I want to ask, is that a media aid to governor? Supposing whether it's a supposed media aid to governor that will come and speak when governor spoke, he will come and say governor did not say like that. Was he not listening to the live interview when the governor said that? He said he spoke in a dialect. With petition. When somebody will come on air because they are paying you peanuts to come and mislead our Ibom. So don't we have the record of what the governor said? Record of governor that you are now saying he loves the other people very well. Don't we have, even if you would have done one thing for us by doing the Bakadisi, have been to the benefit of Akwa Ibom. You've collected the license. What is keeping you? Nothing is being done there in Oron as I'm talking to you about the Bakadisi, which is a very big project that would have helped Akwa Ibom. Someone will just come on air because Mr. Johnny have given us a free medium to air out as you. You will come and mislead us. I don't understand this kind of
Thank you very much, Parliamentarian. I'm sure that there is no misleading because, as you rightly stated, Akwa Ibomites are very well informed and we are up to date with the activities of government. And of course, that's why you can counter the statement made by the other parliamentarian.
That's right. And just to, clear the air on what the last two callers have said, because the recent caller simply saying the previous one had commended the governor, perhaps maybe out of line, and is basing his arguments on comments the governor reportedly made at the height of a certain protest that took place or was organized by some youths from Oro extraction about the state of the Ibom Deep Sea Port. I think the first argument emanated first from the change of name from what we had and knew then as Ibaka Deep Sea Port to now the Ibom Deep Sea Port project. I think, to be fair, not all in fault for the government, but to be fair to the governor, he had explained critically why we had that change of name from Ibaka to Ibom Deep Sea Port, citing other government projects and installations that have also been branded with the name Ibom, just to show it's something that belongs to, Akwa Ibom State as a whole, and then not just one angle. Yes, the project started from Ibaka, which is in Mbo local government area. But if you look at the general map of the entire project, it cuts across not just Mbo local government area. Ibano is also included. There's Eserekate, there's Ona, I think Barenin is there if I'm not mistaken. So we can't just say because the project was initiated from Ibaka that it has to stick to that name. And then I've heard a lot of times people blame the Udemy Manual administration for the slow takeoff of that project. I mean, it took a while before we eventually got some approval from the federal government. And if there's anything, I'd like to commend the governor for actually being on his toes in, forcing the federal government's hands to, approve this project. So we just have to wait. It's not something that's going to take off in a twinkle of an eye. Lots of T's have to be crossed and I's dotted before you have a project of that magnitude actually take off. We agree the benefits that would come from having the Ibom Deep Sea Ports project cannot be, overstated. It would definitely benefit not just the Akwa Ibomite, but the entirety of Nigeria. But it's something that's worth celebrating. But I don't like to think that the governor actually disrespected Oro people, so to say, when he claimed that Oro people were writing lots of petitions. I can tell you for a fact and 100% that I am a witness to, and I've had copies of series of petitions that were actually, and in truth, written by some persons from Oro extraction, because most of them do not actually understand, the nature of the Deep Sea Port project. You could fault me for saying this, but then I'm actually from Oro as well. So this is something that should concern me. And I would actually love to be taking sides with my own brothers. But I'm going to say things for a fact and the way that they are. People wrote unnecessary petitions. And I had to see some copies of them, and they were actually laughable. They showed you they really had no thorough understanding of the nature of the Deep Sea Port project.
Well, as at the time, let me engage you, House Leader, of this one, as it's very critical for us to clear the air. Yes, we know that as far as we're in a society like ours, there are persons who would just pick up their pen because they love to write, just like we see people on Facebook attacking different politicians, not because they have a grasp and understanding of the matter at stake, but because they just want to write. Yes, there were some petitions of that nature that you've described from the oral extraction, but we cannot push away the fact that there were also very important documents and petitions written as to the sighting of the Ibaka Deep Sea Port. And yes, the governor came out to tell the Oran people that the reason for, changing the name from Ibaka Deep Sea Port, which was the initial name given by the Obama administration, to the Ibom Deep Sea Port, has been an issue of the branding. But shortly after that, we saw St. Gabriel's refinery coming into the existence as a business of the Akwa Ibom State, and that also generated a lot of reactions. Because if you're telling Akwa Ibom State's people, if you're telling the Oron people that every business, by matter of brand, should bear the Ibom brand, so every other establishment, every other business in Akwa Ibom State should bear the Ibom brand. So in that regards, there were a lot of actions coming from the Oron people, and they were actually justified to make that request, to ask those questions.
I agree with you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure Parliamentarian Otuekong would definitely love to chip in something like that. But let's look at the Deep Sea Ports project and compare it to, say, the coconut refinery and maybe other projects you have across the state in different local governments. I did say the reason why this one is different is because it cuts across at least 3 to 4 or 5 local government areas, as opposed to having one project cited in one particular local government area. So if you say we have the coconut refinery in, let's say, Padenan local government area, and in Padenan people tell you, you have to name it after a community in our town, maybe that's fine. It's like the airports, for instance. It's called the Ibom Airport to you, but we know it also cuts across Okobo local government area. For anything, a bulk of the land space used for the airport is also in Okobo local government area. So we would have said the Okobo International Airport, and then there's actually a route that you can access the airport from Uyo itself. So those are, very crucial things that I think the initiators of this project eventually looked at before coming up with this name, so just so people don't whip up unnecessary sentiments. That's the area I'm coming from. I think the sentiments that were whipped up with most of these proposals, like I said, I saw a good number of them, and some of them were actually justified. I know people who wrote and asked questions around how many jobs would people from these areas get. Those are the questions we should be asking by the time the seaports eventually takes off.
All right, I'll get to engage you more on that when we come back from the short break. Let's just go on a second recess. Many thanks for staying with us. If you just joined us, this is still the People's Parliament, live on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. Before we went to that short break, and of course our second recess for the day, we were in a heated deliberation as to the Ibom Deep Sea Port and the issues surrounding it. But I'd just like to feel the pulse of a parliamentarian Otuekong, so we just get back to the main matter on the floor of the House this morning. Those were just a diversion that we don't have to keep us on the floor. So briefly, please.
Well, let me say that if you trace the history of the seaport, Ibom Deep Seaport, you will trace it to the government of Obong Victor Atta administration. From there, you had the Obong Gospel Akpabius administration also came, and then you now have the Etebi-Enwang administration. Like the House leader, said, I also told his line of argument, that we need to commend His Excellency the Governor, Udo Emmanuel, for making sure that we have the license first to operate the deep sea port. And then we've been able to resolve the issue of license. I have said before that we have a faulty constitution that we make for ourselves, that the military foisted on us, that we are now using to operate, called the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria. Everything is vested in the powers of the federal government in the exclusive legislative list. Like I have said over and over, that we have over 63 items on this exclusive list that the federal government must give approval if you need to do as a state. That includes the airport, that includes the seaport, the road, and the rest. So it has that has become the cock in the wheel of the progress of the Ibom Deep Seaport. Now the name, for me, should not be the argument, should not even have caused any furor, because there is no need to argue on the name. I give you, for instance, when the Obong Otta's government came on board, it came up with what they call Akwa Ibom State College of Science and Technology, Akutech, somewhere. That almost stalled the project, because the communities were jostling to get its name after it. Atta government left office unable to take off the project. It was Akpabi's government that came on board, and the first thing he did was to send a bill to the House of Assembly to change the name to what we now have, Akwa Ibom State University, AXU, and then locate it at Mparenin. And then also that was able to define the location and the geography and the space it is now occupying. Now give it place it at a particular location, Mparenin. If the argument is for a name that is causing the delay, then it means that we are not looking beyond that. Because from my research, that project will employ over 40,000 Akwa Ibomites, and it will have spiral effect in terms of employment, development, empowerment, and the rest. Imagine that apart from our Papa seaport, you don't have any other seaport in the whole of Nigeria. So you have that Ibom Deep Seaport coming to operate, you will have development across the entire country, not just only in Akwa Ibom. So my appeal to those in Oro Nation, I have been speaking for them. I have made a case, I have said here over and over that Oro, as every other area, have been marginalized. But we need to understand that we need development that will develop not just only Oro, but the entire state. The issue of name shouldn't cause us to throw away maybe and bad water. We should allow the name be what the government wants, so as to enable them push it through. Let's have the project on ground.
All right, more reactions from parliamentarians this morning. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary. Sorry, last connection there. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. I am Sophie Samuel, calling from Port Harcourt, River State.
All right, welcome to the People's Parliament.
Thank you so very much. I want to lend my voice to what is trending in Akwa Ibom right now, and we are talking about the achievement of a governor, Mr. Udo Emmanuel, and a lot of people are giving it too much accolade that he has really done well. Well, he has done, but we are marginalized. Our side have been long marginalized from some of these, all these government that came into Akwa Ibom, starting from our Obong Victor Atta, that of Gospel of Akwa Ibom, and recently kind of don't get with manual. We have been marginalized. There's no need saying that. And I want to, without any fear of molestation or whatever, or harassment, I have to tell you that what he has done in our nation is not something that we should be applauding. Well, we give him a applause because he has tried a little bit than other governments. Anyway. But I want to tell you that my section of our nation called the core Okobo side, something is going on there. I'm not happy about this. And of course, we are just like people that escort other people to the world and nothing to show for. We've not achieved anything. Even the road that conveys people to the beach, that brings out millions of naira every day by day, because of the carbon road. Has it been constructed and all that? Remember when I came in as one of the executives of this Save Nigeria at the day, I could not, that road was completely impassable, and I could not, get to our Paramount Road. I was living on that road some time ago, and my car was stopped. And I felt so bad about it. And this is a road that that churns out millions of naira every day by day to Akwa Ibom and also Nigeria and even outside world. But why are we this marginalized? I just wept. There's no road, Okobo, the Okobo, to be shown for anything. I mean, nothing completely. But today, a lot of people are saying the government even himself is talking about his achievement in all the local governments. But I want to fault him that he has not really done much in Okobo local government, especially the Okobo speaking tribe of Okobo local government. Nothing is going on there.
All right, wrap up, please, Parliamentarian.
Okay, but I'm grateful, but let me tell you something. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you, but wrap up, please.
Okay. And when I came home last, I saw some sort of plantation, coconut plantation and all that. Is that what he said? The government presence is felt in Okobo, in Ekeya, Okobo. I mean, my brother, things should be put in the right perspective so that we'll be able to also back up this government. And whenever we speak, with all amount of sincerity and authority that he has done something for Okobo people. I'm not happy about this. Please.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. And of course, that is another person from Okobo. And I recall that the issue of Ekeya Okobo and the ravine currently ravaging the area has been consistent on the floor of the House, not just for a particular day, but it seems that even the local government chairman, Dr. Sylvester Atta, has refused to heed to the calls and the cries of the people. Reportedly, on a daily basis, people are still dying because, like he rightly pointed, the ravine has caved in the road, also linking the area, and people who are not aware that situation is currently happening in those places, people just driving right straight into the ravine, and of course, you know exactly what will happen when a vehicle at high speed just rams into the ravine. And we're still hoping that the state government will respond to the Okobo people, Ekeya Okobo people cry for help, an SOS message that has been sent several times to the government of Akwa Ibom State. But let me come back to the floor of the House. Parliamentarian Otuekong, Franklyn, briefly before we take some more comments, and of course we can get to excuse the House leader.
Yeah, let me comment the last caller for bringing up the Okobo issue. I think I led a team as a journalist and as a civil society advocate. I like being on the field to gather what how the people are saying, and also be able to get a first-hand information of what they want and how they respond to issue of governance. I led a team, I think that should be last year, sometime in August, to Okobo, and we went to the Tabong Beach Road. That road leads to the house of the Okobo Paramount ruler. That same road leads to the former Attorney General of the state. It leads to the beach. We went there, we saw that road serviced over 13 or 14 communities, and we shouted, and the person who was given the contract, I think is one Dubai construction company. We engaged the contractor to know why the delay, and we were told that funds wasn't made available. The deputy speaker, we also met her and discussed on that issue, the issue of that Atabong Beach Market Road. As I speak to you, I think last some months ago, the person handling the contract called and told me that funds were released shortly after we left. But I've not gone back to see how the state of the road is. But the truth is, apart from the fact that the road project is going on, the Okobo people also have challenge of sea pirates that beach market, the Parliament ruler took us, when we went there, he took us to show us how the pirate will come in with speedboats, invade the community and then escape. We have also engaged the CP, the then CP that was there, I think Adekeme Andrew, on the issue. I believe this new CP had engaged and is trying to do more of marine policing. So I believe that there is need for the plight of Okobo people to be looked into. And then the Parliament ruler of Okobo then told us that he used to park his car when the road is flooded, and then use Okada to Oro, and then for then he now to run, and then we now use boat. I mean, we now use a bike, boat. I mean, cab from there to Uyo. That was then. But now I believe there must be a change, because
there isn't a change. It's still the same scenario.
Now, other people have a house member who is a deputy speaker. What is she doing? You have mentioned the issue of the chairman of the local government area. What is the chairman doing? Without the caller who called in to let us know, how will we know that that area has been marginalized? So let those who are holding positions in government try to take up these issues with authorities concerned to get these matters resolved. Not only waiting for the governor, who may not be able to know how far the project is going on. Perhaps the governor is not being given the right information that he needs to know on this particular route. When you have the deputy speaker, you have the chairman of the council and the rest who are there without reaching out to the governor to say, see what is happening, see how we are suffering.
Well, as far as the issue of Ike-Yakobo and the road caving into ravine is concerned, I'm very much aware that the issue has been taken up to the Commissioner for Environment, Honorable Charles Zoda. I have personally reached out to him severally on that issue since the Ike-Yakobo people reached out to the People's Parliament and asked us to help in sending the SOS message to the Akwa Ibom State government. And like you rightly stated, the Deputy Speaker, Mrs. Felicia, is also from Okobo. But of course, the Okobo people have said that several visitations have been made by the government to that particular site, yet no action has been taken so far. But let me come back to you, House Leader, briefly before we let you go.
Yes, well, that's quite interesting. And I think perhaps the biggest SOS the people can send to ensure that action is expedited on this, it will definitely come at the polls. So we can talk about representation. What are those representing us at different levels of government doing to ensure that our plights are actually addressed and, looked into? It's a worry that all of these government officials just sit down and expect, that the state governor, the governor has 31 local government areas to supervise. Yes, he has aides and those, of course, who are his eyes and ears out there. But it behoves on those who represent us in Parliament, especially we're focusing on Akwa Ibom State now, the State House of Assembly. I mean, if the Deputy Speaker of the House, who hails from that local government, cannot even summon some sort of motion or lead some kind of debate or convince members of the House that this is the plight facing her people, then I wonder why, people would even eventually scheme to hold such, big positions in the House without having some level of influence. Is actually laughable for me. And I hope people are listening and equally watching, so they go make a statement of intent when next they want to choose leaders to represent them. Let's quickly get some reactions from parliamentarians via our Facebook page. Noya Idion says, good morning, parliamentarians. Governor Emmanuel inaugurating the 1.5 kilometers Afi-Uko Nteghe Bridge on the Etebi-Enwang Road in Umbo is highly commendable because this project was started by former Governor Babio and completed by Governor Emmanuel. And with this, it shows that government is continuing. All right, thank you very much. And this was coming from Akanimo Leo Ikweon. Good morning, People's Parliament. I'm so impressed with the promise fulfilled of the present administration under Governor Emmanuel's leadership. Let me use this medium to call on the different political parties to come together after the general elections in building Akwa Ibom State. As for Peter Obi, I think he has the capacity and ability to govern the country, but he will not govern because, the last line of your comments actually quite insensitive, and we apologize that we cannot actually take them. Please do well to stick to the rules when next you want to give your contributions on the show. I think Governor Emmanuel, I commend rather Governor Emmanuel for the construction of the longest bridge in West Africa. How sure are you about that? Akwa Ibom people should support his completion agenda and succession plans for the state to continue to have this kind of development. Emmanuel Ikbe. And quickly, Nyoba Musa says, good morning, Mr. Speaker, Leader of the House, and Otuekong Isong completed the bridge and the economic activities it has opened along the route will be massive. On political issues rocking various political parties, it's normal, and it's one of the ways of testing and strengthening, as well as redefining our electioneering processes. Keep up the good work, sir. Thank you very much, Inyabong, for joining us. And interestingly, we encourage you to keep reaching out to us with more comments. And just to quickly touch, on the issue of the traditional ruler, referring to the Oluwo of Iwo, who had said it's about time we began to factor in the role that traditional rulers and institutions can play in terms of governance. So I do agree. I agree. But I don't think it's something that should be, backed constitutionally. The traditional rulers have a role to play, yes. But they can always act as intermediaries, between the government and the people without necessarily giving them, some constitutional powers of backing, because we have a tendency, to misuse privileges here in the country. And I say without any form of fear or favor, that traditional rulers are equally culpable, for the poorer state of the nation's economy, especially when it has to do with security challenges that we are facing, because most of these issues arise from their respective domains, and most of them are private to these issues, but they seem to rather are interested in what comes from the national cake, rather than address the issues that pervade the respective communities. So yes, I agree, the traditional institutions have a massive role to play, but let them keep on acting as intermediaries between the government and the people when such things arise, as opposed to giving them some constitutional powers where, they too would have, a high level of contribution to make in decision-making processes. Mr. Speaker.
All right, thank you very much, Rex Kizia. I would have liked to engage you with that, but I'll let Parliamentarian Franklyn take the charge.
I want to take the issue of the fuel, increasing fuel pump price that we are having in Uyo. I just bought 110 today, and I think that there is need for something to be done about it. I came back from Port Harcourt. The prices in Port Harcourt has gone down below 200. We are still having 300 in Akwa Ibom. That's one. The issue of the Uyo Village Road, I drove through that road this morning, though they've been able to push the refuse away, but that road needs to be, reconstructed. Then the issue of giving a role to our royal fathers in the constitution, nothing can be further from the truth. There is need for the royal fathers to be given a role in the constitution. I watched a trending video where Governor Nyesom Wike was lambooning a royal father, I think Eze Ekpe Lobo, over the kidnap of the workers who were doing roads construction in the area, and he was challenging the monarch to go and invoke the gods to get the to stop those who are iron, who are bandits on the road. There is need for the royal fathers to be given a role. I have been in the traditional institution for over 30 years now. I know that the royal fathers are not given independence or level of independence to be able to contribute their quota to the development of the country. Every person is from a village, and a village has a village head, has a clan head, a paramount ruler. If they are given a role in the constitution that will define their role, they can be firm in whatever thing they say to the people. Obi in Chatham House that saying that the elite are the one ruling the country. I agree with him. The elite are the one ruling the country today, as it were. Every policy is made to favor the elite. The only route that one can use safe today is airlines. The roads are not safe. The sea are not safe because of bandits. The train are not safe again. The only route that is safe now to make your travel is through the air. And even at that, the cost of the aviation fuel had also increased the fare. So the country is governed by the elite. Perhaps that is why you are seeing this high increase in crime, because the less privileged, the oppressed, the middle class are now looking for what to eat. I fear that if nothing is done to address this issue of hunger, this issue of poverty in our country, the security of this nation will be at a very high risk.
Very much appreciate you, Parliamentarian Otuekong Franklyn, and of course the House Leader, and you, Parliamentarian, who join us on our Facebook page and on the social media, and of course listen online and through the phone lines for being part of today's success story. It's been a beautiful time having these wonderful conversations on the 12th plenary live on radio. My name is Raymond, and I'll ask move a motion that this plenary be moved to tomorrow, when we will resume again with other interesting topics Many thanks, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless Akwa Ibom State. This is bye-bye from us.